is kind of tilted. The foundation is strong because Jehovah built it. You can feel the spirit and positive energy. Questions asked comfortably like you're talking with family. Get ready to settle in. Wait for the show to begin. Invite a couple of friends. It's time for Unhinged.
Introduce to you Get You Home Towing, a family company with the sole purpose to get you home. Whether you need roadside assistance or transport services, we have a flatbed big enough to transport any vehicle to its destination. Our offer to you is our gratitude and great service at a much cheaper price. We are also open to transport through long distances. If you need us, all you have to do is call that number. I'll see you soon.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Y'all all right? I mean, what's really going on? Thank you so much for tuning in. You've tuned in to Unhinged Live. I'm your host, Nikita Tilted Halo Hansford, and I'm sitting alongside my very good girlfriend, Karen Sims Harrell of Twisted Threads LLC, and y'all already know what it is. We are excited about tonight's show for so many different reasons. Before I get into all of that, I want to go ahead and say hello, hola, and welcome to all of our replay viewers who are going to join us at a later date and time. We appreciate your support. So check it out. If you enjoy what you've been seeing, hearing, and experiencing here at Unhinged Live, do us a favor. Tell somebody about the show. Share the broadcast with your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, and them. It's summertime, and I know y'all out there cack-lacking, especially after last week's Mint mediation broadcast, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Of course, tonight, we're going to have a wonderful conversation with the minister you saw on this week's advertising flyer, and y'all know I'm going to go ahead and get into a super fan shout out before we get into that conversation. Y'all know I like to be poured into weekly, if not daily, but I'm grateful that you all will get to receive, just like I will, another just bountiful meal, a reflection of purpose from our very own in-house master life coach, Karen Sims Harrell. She's a master, certified life coach. She's a master. I just want to make sure y'all know that. She can talk to y'all about everything, but tonight she's going to give us the season's finale reflection of purpose. And of course, I'm just going to get into a little bit of a just be moment at the end of the show. So let me come on back and show that I have some manners and home training. And I got to ask you, Karen, it's a wonderful Tuesday on the East Coast of the USA. I got to ask you how you doing, girlfriend.
I'm doing okay. You know what? I'm doing better than okay. We always hear people say, I'm blessed and highly favored, right? And we may have heard it so much, we forget that that's actually a thing of a thing, right? And so doing great. Planning for July 4th weekend. Hopefully this rain and these spot storms don't catch us out there. I may or may not have gotten caught in one or two of them. And it's like, 15 minutes later, then the sun is shining again. But I know that the sunshine is working real, real hard to make sure that my solar power self stays on full. So, gotta give a shout out there, and just all of the folks, for all the parents who are welcoming their teenagers and young folks home for the summer. That's not really happening over here, but when we have those moments tilted where it's like, I remember when, and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I don't have to feed none of them extra youngins if I don't want to.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I felt that thing.
I know, right? I know, but I want to let my fellow parents who are at the more beginning side of this, like, it shall not be this way always, right? So go ahead and get the potatoes and the rice and the peanut butter. Well, I don't know. These kids are allergic to peanut butter now. I don't know what y'all feeding them. cornbread and collard greens down here. Okay, that's what we doing. We got some maybe cabbage. We do some cabbage and cornbread down here. Other than that, I'm doing well. Super excited for we now are officially entering the official summer season, right? And as we talked about our season finale, but we already got some burners for when we return. But I digress. So I'm going to share the love and ask the question to you, because oftentimes y'all know this is a reminder, check on your strong friends, that part. So Tilted, how you doing?
Girl, I got a lot going on, and it's been so much fun. You heard in the off-air conversation tonight at approximately 6:05 p.m. I closed my eyes and took a little bit of a power nap, and the Lord just said, "Okay, baby, get on up," so I could come on in the studio and be here with you all on tonight. But before I get into how I'm doing, I just got to look at you, friend, and say thank you so much for the excellent job you did with the mint mediation with the tribe on last week. Last week. Yes, that gave me the opportunity to sit my hind parts down and get some rest, because I promise you, as I am at a certain point in my life, I have been in every single type of doctor's office to make sure that I remain summertime fine. And last week was a much needed rest for me, because sis be tired, because it's kind of hard when you got to retract your cape as often as I have to pouring out. But just knowing that I could step away, that was God, just showing me another glimpse of the vision for Unhinged Live that has actually come to pass. As I spoke it from the very first day when I brought you all together, I said I have to build the platform for the day when I am not able to be here, because I am going to be getting called into diverse places. And what do you know? You already know the testimony. Some of y'all do, some of you don't. But I promise you, every single thing I did 2 years ago, every seed I sowed 2 years ago, I am legitimately reaping the harvest of the harvest of the hustle. That's what I like to call it.
Okay.
I had, every now and again I have to encourage some folks in my circle to go ahead and solidify their hustle, so that they don't find themselves in a place of scattering. Focus on one thing and do that one thing consistently well, and watch God do it. Ask me how I know.
I feel like we got to insert this right there, because listen, that was definitely a word within a word. The harvest of the hustle. Listen,
the harvest of the hustle. See, these downloads just come out.
I know, I love it.
Before, but y'all can use that one. You too can reap the harvest of the hustle. But consistency is the name of the game. I don't even know where this one is coming from. I thought this was going to be part of my Just Be moment at the end of the show. But, I guess I have to say it to somebody now.
I'm greedy.
Just do it.
Keep it coming.
Just do it. Because if you knew the fullness of the testimony behind this platform, baby, I'm trying to tell you, there was a season, and y'all didn't even know. There was a season in one of these broadcast years where I was broadcasting from an old phone that I kept in the drawer, because I don't get rid of my cellular devices, because I just don't trust folk like that. So listen, the name of the game is sacrifice. Mm-hmm. The name of the game is commitment. And what are you willing to give up for the dream, for the vision that God gave you to come to pass? Are you willing to suffer some sleepless nights? What? Are you willing to pay for a chorus here or there to make sure that you are presenting your best stuff now? I can only say that because currently, Karen, you and I are taking a course to help.
Come on, Blueprint. Listen, we are not new to this, but this is the thing, right? For all that you say, and I'm about to say, like, pull up, pilot. What we doing here? Like, you literally,
they have passports ready. Okay, know where I'm gonna go.
You never know, but I love it because in this season that we're in, not only is God manifesting Himself, right, but we bringing y'all on the ride with us. We are not gatekeepers here. Anything that we learn, we're gonna bring it to you. Because listen, even our guest tonight, this is about us ripping down all of the posts so that there is no gate that's there, right? Because we hear often, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And we're going to get into some things about how even in this summertime, normally y'all wouldn't see us in these July streets. I need you to know we are true to this sabbatical month, but we could not leave you literally without something to bump to. That means that you get the whole summer to plan, right? We're not looking for you to wait until time is upon you. You hear us often say, stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Why? Because the time is now, and you could be distracted by everything that the news is showing you, or y'all could like and share and make sure you subscribe so that when we go on our respective YouTube channels, listen, you ain't even got to go on one channel. Pick the one you know and make sure you press play over there, like and subscribe. Make sure you're not missing, right, the good information that's not just here for us, but it's also here for our families. Now listen, I got my paper and my pen. Girl. Normally you don't see me with my pen. It don't mean I'm not taking notes, but tonight I already know it's gonna be a whole notebook situation going on. That part there. So we done came with our passports. If you didn't get yours, go grab your passport, because tonight is sure enough gonna be a joy tsunami, and we gonna call it a family reunion. That's what we gonna call it, because that's what this is. All right, I'm a step back. What you got next on your rundown, Tilted? Because you done let me sit.
Look, because we. Thank God, God rest my parents that I can't get a whooping right now, but I'm looking at the time and, we got to be hospitable.
Ooh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we got to be hospitable over here. And I got to get into this week's Superfan shout out, Karen.
Yes.
Can I get a drum roll, please?
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yes, that was wonderful. So wonderful. Check it out, y'all. Lean in close. Y'all know I like to fan out about my friends, right? And I like to fan out about my many acquaintances, right? So tonight I am fanning out all the way about tonight's shout out. Listen, Bible tells us that our children will one day raise up and call us blessed as women if we do what we are due to do for our children. We do our due diligence. And I promise you, tonight's Superfan shout out is absolutely blessed, because I see her blessings walking around her as pieces of her heart in human form. We got business owners over here that still make sure they take time to honor, first of all, the Lord and their mama. Listen, she's a woman of God. She is the matriarch of the Vanderburg clan. Yeah, that's right. I am talking about Minister Deirdre Vanderburg. Listen. Sis, I'm
about to get up out my seat, right?
Yeah, we can do it, girl.
On this one, I'm trying to be easy.
What? Okay. Yeah. See, stop it.
The show just got started, Tilted. We trying to keep it together. It's the beginning of the show. Minister Deirdre, listen, you already know. No, I ain't even gonna get emotional, but when you got greatness, right? The mantle is gonna drip some things, right? And so I guess already know, because he get to call her mama. But it's another thing, right? When you are a powerful woman, right? And I'm talking about for me. And a lot of times people won't take the time to pour into you because they'll see you and think you got it all together. And so when I tell you the love that I have for this woman, we don't talk every day. It might be just a blue moon, but when we connect, right? There is something there that power with power understands that sacrifice that you was talking about, Tilted. How about that, right? That when you talking to people who know the language, when silence is an entire paragraph. Okay, that's all. I'm not gonna get into it.
Girl, see, that's that frequency we stay on, because I was literally, as you were speaking, I was saying, what is the word you use when power doesn't make a sound and you just know you've encountered it? You know, many of us, listen, wisdom, righteous living. Look, the essence and the aroma of God himself. Listen, sis, you have been a tremendous blessing, not only to Karen, but to myself. In the many times I had the opportunity to sit and serve with you in ministry, the way I observed you loving not only your family, your children, the women that you serve alongside, let me tell you, you are an absolute gem to not only your family, but to those of us who have experienced you. So, Sister Deidre, I just want to say thank you for being who you are. Thank you for birthing so much legacy through your womb. We are all reaping the benefit of who you, and not only you, we're going to talk about your rib too, who you and your husband are, because I recognize you did not do this alone. It took many nights of the two of you going before the throne to manifest the harvest that you now get to sit back and enjoy. I celebrate you tonight, sister, not only tonight, but every day, as I celebrate so many of the sisters I surround myself with. So I thank you for just taking a little bit of piece of your life and allowing me to experience you. Many continued blessings, grace, and peace, Sister Deidre. So yeah, I got a little teary
with that one, because I'm never really sure where you're gonna go with these, but I promise you that was on my mind all day, because we knew, the guests, and it was just like, how you could just say thank you, Lord, for the family, right? Like, it's not even just one person, but Lord, thank you for that entire family, right? And it was on my mind, and I'm grateful that we both have the opportunity, because we believe in giving flowers. We love flowers over here. Please.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I got flowers on the shelf.
That part. We love the flowers over here, but it's not just
flowers.
That part. It's not for us. It's so that we can give them to folks, right? That's it. Okay. So listen, we done heard the doorbell. We got any additional business? Wait a minute. Okay. They're getting a little antsy out there.
Listen. Don't make the man of God wait. Don't make the man of God wait. Let me get into this intro real quick. All right.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna set us up over here. Go ahead.
Listen. We've both had the awesome privilege of watching this young man since he was a knee high to a duck, to the husband, the leader, the father, the businessman, the community leader, that to becoming all that he is today. We got to sit on the sidelines and not only watch him grow, we got to watch him go and do exactly what the Lord instructed him to do. I remember one of the first times I got to sit in his presence, the first thing that caught my attention was his authenticity and how knowledgeable he was to be such a very young man. It was in those days that I began to pray for him, because I could see the gift of God within him even then. Now, then you fast forward, I carried my hind parts into the Key City Diner one night when he was in his He That Findeth a Wife season, when he was looking.
All right now.
I remember walking into the diner one night and just doing a casual greeting when he was with this beautiful young lady, and I observed exactly what they were doing in that moment. And in my head, I said, yeah, that's right, she'd won. I observed them reading a book together and having an active discussion about it. And she wasn't sitting there all, no, she was giving him the business about the information they were exchanging from what they were reading. And it was so awesome, because I knew in that moment, that's a partnership right there, because they're able to talk things out to gain clarity to move forward. Who better than to build a family with? So tonight, without further ado, go ahead and bring him in the room.
Here we go.
Pastor Jason, welcome to Unhinged Live, nephew. We're gonna call you nephew.
Yes. Look, I got two beautiful aunties that I'm on with right now, and it's just awesome to be here. And I have to say before anything, thank you both for honoring Mom. That is truly special and so awesome, so awesome. So glad to be here with you.
Awesome, awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. So you already know what it is. We like to get into the conversation with you and give the listeners and the viewers a little bit about you and how it started and how it's actually going right now. Now, I have a little bit of understanding about how your life journey began. I believe you and your family are transplants, much like myself. Y'all transplanted here from New York
Yes, ma'am.
to the
Yeah.
Lehigh Valley. So can you tell me what that was like for you? How old were you when you relocated here?
Yeah, I was 14 or 15. I know I was in high school, and parents decided to move to Pennsylvania, and I did not want to come here at all because who does?
Right?
But came here as a high school student, ended up going to school at Easton, finishing up high school there, and got involved in church and went to school and met a beautiful woman and got married and had some kids and did some ministry. And it has been a tremendous journey. Coming here was different because I grew up, as many of us grew up in spaces that look a little more like us. So I learned to speak Spanish. I learned about patois. I learned all of this cultural stuff there. And then coming here, it was kind of different. But I'll tell you, I've stayed. I really believe that God's plan was for us to establish roots here, and I could never see it back then, but I certainly know now why we, the Vanderburg family, were supposed to be and are supposed to be here in the Lehigh Valley. So it has been a tremendous journey, and I think about it. Someone was asking me the other day, "How long have you been here?" And I'm like, "Man, I think it's probably been 20 years. It was 2005." Or 2006, so it's either 19 or 20 years. Like that's a whole long time. That's a life right there. That's somebody's baby who graduated high school right there and is on the way to college or in college. Like that's a long time. But truly happy, grateful, excited to be here.
Now I want to jump in because it's an organic thing that we had the ability and the opportunity to honor your mom today, because she's that one. Now you know that, right? You know that she's that one, and we've seen her at the helm of so many different things. But I'm wondering, right? I'm a give you a moment if you need one. Mm-hmm. You only get to pick one. What is one piece of advice that your mom gave to you that you carry with you frequently, even whether you want to or not? It's like she is in the house, although the doors are locked, the windows are closed. What is that one piece of advice that maybe your mom is giving you and you're like, I'm taking this with me no matter where I go?
So interestingly enough, when I got my driver's license, and the same with my brother, she shared some advice with us that in context was about getting a driver's license, but I have carried it with me, and I'm gonna tell you in a second what it is, but I got to brace myself and prep myself to give it to y'all. But essentially, one of the most profound things that my mother ever said to me was keep ninjas out of your car.
Well,
and when we got our driver's license, she said it to him, and then she said it to me. And of course, when she said it, it was about literally, you have a car now, make sure that you don't have folks in the car who aren't supposed to be in the car. Make sure that you keep your stuff clean. Make sure that you keep it neat and tidy, and that you never let somebody else come into your stuff and mess it up. Now, she was talking about the car, but I think of her and I hear her voice in my head in so many areas of life that there are just some spaces, some things, some places that literally are, and I'm going to tie it into the spiritual, are just me and the Lord, my family and the Lord. And everybody doesn't have to be all up in everything. And so I think about it often. We always laugh about it because I'm like, Ma, you were talking about the car, but I took that and I kept it with me all throughout life. And of course, that's more of a funny one. She has really shared just great wisdom. My mom, she's seen a lot. and she's navigated through a lot, and God has kept her. So she's an angel. I love you so much, and keep folks out your car, keep folks out your business, keep folks out of what's happening, keep folks out of your triumphs, out of your plans, out of your vision until the appointed time.
I love it.
So yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
From pre-conversations,
Put
I
his
love it.
Cash App up here because he finna I'm gonna let him.
I'm telling you, I love it. And for those of you who don't know, as soon as you said it, I heard protect your neck. Sometimes we got to gangsterify it a little bit more than Mama did it, but that is definitely some sound wisdom. And if your mama ain't never told you everybody can't go, I don't know who mothering you over there. I'm just gonna say it right there. Everybody can't go with you, so I appreciate that. Now, listen, we would be remiss if I didn't ask the same question, because your dad is a force, right? So, but I think a silent force to those of us who not in the house. Right. I think maybe not so silent to you all who live with him, right? But for those who maybe don't see him at every time that they might see one of y'all or might see your mom, I got to present the same question as we just have gotten out of June. And, we celebrate Father's Day and good fatherhood, right? Like hashtag fatherhood for like your dad, who has always, been by your side and giving you that father wisdom. What would you think? What would you say? One, I'm just going to say share one. I know you got many nuggets from your dad, but what one would you share from him?
I would share the one where he said that you belong in every room that God allows you to be in. So many times, this is really a combo that I've heard it throughout life, but it really started when we first moved here, and I was going into some of the AP classes, and I was the only person who looked like me at that time at Easton High School. Now it's changed a whole lot now, but at that time I was literally just a brother in AP. In the AP classes. And so while I was coming home like, listen, I already don't want to live here. I didn't want to move here. It's not what I'm used to. And now I'm the only brown thing in the class beside the desktop. Like, that is something that was very real for me. And my dad then said, yo, son, and my brother as well, who was in high school also, you belong in every room that God allows you to be in. And I've carried that. See, there's a common theme with stuff my parents have said. I've carried it. And then I just kind of remixed it and applied it to other areas of life. I've taken what he was talking about for me entering a high school classroom and just applied it into other areas. God has allowed me to be in rooms that I certainly don't deserve to be in, that I didn't think that I should be in. Not to necessarily speak and talk, but just to let the presence be the important thing, right? Spaces where they needed a me and spaces where they needed you. Right. And just presence alone, like, don't ever feel that you're not qualified. If God allows you to be in the space, to enter the room, then you better know you're supposed to be there. And you don't have to say a whole lot, but let your presence speak a whole lot more than your mouth.
That's good. Mm-hmm. That's good. All right. Now I feel like that was a remix to that as well. I love that. I appreciate you sharing that. And as two queenagers, that's what we refer to ourselves, right? It is so important when we think about the impact of parenthood, the impact that we have on our children, and how it shapes their future. And so we got a bunch of coaches, we got a bunch of fashionistas, we got some personal everything over here, right? Because it's about lifestyle for us, and it's not just about are you a business owner, are you one faceted, but we know that because the God that we serve is multifaceted, he allows us to be that way as well. So appreciate all of that. Now listen, Tilted, I'm gonna let you ask a question. That's what I'm gonna do, because it's her fault. It's her fault, nephew.
Why?
Because, she left me in charge last week, right? And once you leave me in charge, it's a wrap after that. Like, so I'm trying to temper and whatnot. I'm like, where's she at? Okay, well, and last week.
Look, sis is over here handling other business while you handling our business live. You know how we do.
I got you. All right.
But since you're yielding the floor to me, I'm listening to your conversation and how you began your educational journey here in the Lehigh Valley, not feeling like, this was really where you belong. But then, of course, your father just gave you that wonderful nugget of wisdom. You belong everywhere you stand, basically. Mm-hmm. Allow me to paraphrase it in the way that I tell my children, baby, you belong everywhere you stand. Don't you ever shrink and don't you ever play small. And then I have to, take my own advice. So I hear and understand that you were in some AP classes. What was your favorite subject in high school, if you don't mind me asking?
Out easily, no close competition. American history.
Oh, makes
nothing comes close. Like nothing's even close to it.
What's the one that comes like near it?
You know what? I would have to say, that's a great question because, well, if not U.S. history, European history.
Okay, so you're a history.
I was a history guy. At one point in time, I wanted to teach history, and I'll probably talk a little more about that a little later, in the totality of my journey. But I wanted to be a teacher at one point, and I was going to teach history to high school kids.
And you have been. Allow me to interrupt. And you have been a teacher, sir. We have sat under your teaching.
Praise God.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I
know you didn't think you was gonna slip that statement. No.
I loved history. I watched all of those old movies, The Untouchables, Glory, just anything of American history. And still to this day, I love it. Erica loves what they call period pieces. So she watches some of the Queen shows, the British. I don't care for those, but United States, American history, anything that was dealing with even Mississippi Burning, some of the tougher ones, or a Higher Learning, or American History Act. Like, I love anything that is American history that's real. I really believe if we all would get more educated on some of that stuff that has happened here in this particular country, around the world is important. But if we learn stuff that has happened here, maybe, just maybe, we don't have to repeat it, although we've been doing a whole lot of repeating, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. I actually turned my television to Fox News. That's right, y'all. Hold my mule. I turned my television on to Fox News today. Y'all know I put myself on a news sabbatical, and I tap in when the Lord gives me unction, because there's always something I need to hear exactly when I turn on the television. And yeah, I have to agree with you. Some of the history is repeating itself. And it's interesting to me that you are the history buff that you are, and you've shared some of the movies that are some of your favorites. I wouldn't think you to be a history buff because of what I've observed on the outside, which goes back to what your mama told you. Don't let people in your car, they don't need to know everything. I'm curious to know how you became interested in basically the end of life service of families and individuals. How did you get interested in that?
Yeah. So I'm going to take a quick shortcut because I want to mention history one more time, but I promise you it'll tie in together. See, I loved history because I had some great teachers in New York, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade leading up. And I came from a town that literally was all Black and Hispanic, or derivative of that, maybe Caribbean, but it was all us. And so my love for history carried over here, and that kind of was in me, and it has stayed, but it started there. When I got here, I fell in love with serving people, and I fell in love with ministry, and I fell in love with God. I'll tell you what happened. I was in the maybe 10th grade or 11th at Easton High School. And again, wasn't necessarily feeling the experience as much. And I had a job shadow project for an English class. Now the project, hear me, aunties, the project was due on Monday. But I found myself on Thursday not yet having complete the project, which means that all that I have is Friday to do this. So I was telling my mom, I'm like, Ma, I have this project that I have to do. And she's like, well, what would y'all say? She said, whatever y'all would say. You done waited till the last minute, fill in the blank. Yeah, fill in the blank. And she said, well, why don't you call the church? Now, at this time, Ma was connected, plugged in, Dad. I was still being a teenager who would, I slept in, or I'll clean the house if I don't have to go. Like, this is who I was. And I called the church, and I got a guy by the name of Pastor John Gaddy on the phone. The Lord rest his soul. And I got him. I called the front office. They connected him because I explained what I needed. And I don't even remember who was answering the phone at that time. I talked to him, and he said, hey, I'm sorry. I don't really do ministry with kids. I minister to adults. I don't think I can help you. So I was like, uh-oh. I am not going to be able to do this at the church. Pastor Gaddy actually called me back about an hour later and said, well, why don't you come in? Now, it's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon because I called him at like 9, 10, something like that. And he said, if you come over to the church, I'm going to go over to the nursing home. Me and Pastor Juanita go to the nursing home. You can go with us. You can ride with us to the nursing home. And he said, we're going to go over to the shelter as well and do some hospital visitation. We go to a nursing home on Washington Street, 498, to see a woman by the name of Ruth Carter, who, as we are walking into the room, is taking her last breath. Wow. Now, no one knew this was going to happen. So she takes the last breath. We pray. And Pastor Gaddy says, listen, I know I said we were going to go to the hospital, but she has a sister. And her sister's name slips me now. She's blind. She lives across the street from the nursing home in a high rise. We need to go over there, and we need to tell her sister has died. She's pretty much homebound. So we go right across the street over in Easton on Washington Street to this sister's house. And when we got there, deacons from Shiloh, Deacon Fennell, Penelope, and Merrill were there. We let her know that Miss Ruth had died, and we stayed there and we prayed. And I'm feeling something. I'm like, ooh, what's that? I'm like, oh, wow, this, okay. So we leave there to stay with she stayed with the deacons, and we go over to Safe Harbor Shelter, which is just around the corner from where we were at. And we were serving food. There were people from the church who were already there. We're serving food. And I'm like, oh, I'm feeling something. What is this? We left there, went to the hospital to visit one of the sisters, and we left the hospital. And I'm like, man, what is going on? So we finish, and I say to Pastor Gaddy, hey, listen, do you think I can shadow you? He said, well, have a funeral next week on Saturday. You can come and shadow the funeral. He said, because I don't just visit people. I serve families who have funerals at the church. Why don't you come out on Saturday, man, and just observe? Tell me if it's something that you'd like to do. Now, what was supposed to be that one-day project, you sisters know, turned into years of this, and really the Lord revealing my purpose to me. But when I think about it, and I'm going to answer your question, Tilted, I was meant for this from when I was a child. When I was 7 years old, a revival preacher laid hands on me and said, this young man is going to be a preacher. Now, this happened in the summertime. I went back to school that next summer, first as maybe a first grader or second grader, and one of my friends from school got hit by a car and died, a kid who I played in the chess club with. His funeral was the first funeral that I can remember, that I can actually recall. And I remember going to this funeral home, and this big, tall Russian undertaker was standing up at the casket, and Luis Hernandez was his name, who died. And he had on this hat. I didn't know then why, but I know why certainly now. And I went to adjust his hat, and the man said to me, hey, let me help you to adjust his hat. And he helped me. Now, I'm making a salad right now. I'm making some soup right now with all these different stories. But when I reflect back and put it all together, I realized that the Lord was showing me, right, even then at an early age, what he wanted me to do. 9/11 happened. Both my parents worked in the World Trade Center. And I went to so many 9/11 funerals with my mom. My father, God bless him, it just was too much for him. But my mom went, and I said, Mom, I'm going to go with you. So we went to all of these funerals, memorial services. And even as a kid, I'm thinking, wow, this is sad, but this is beautiful, right? This is sad, but this is beautiful. And so as time progressed, now I'm in high school. I'm visiting the hospital with Pastor Gaddy on my school breaks. We're seeing folks, praying for folks, and I joined the bereavement team at the church. So now, not just the funerals that he's a part of, all of them that are happening in the church space, I'm actually there serving with the team. And yeah, I from there I went to school and went to work at hospice. I was a hospice chaplain. End of life. There is something really special, for people who are birth doulas and people who are in the room when someone is born, or someone who walks alongside a woman during that journey of delivering. It's really special. I feel the same way about end of life. It is such an honor. It is so special. It is such a blessing. It is such a wonderful experience and a trusted experience, such a sacred moment. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't answer but that's kind of all of it in a nutshell.
Listen, that was what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear the journey, so that others could hear your testimony. Because, as I've been encouraging quite a few people this week, God really does use it all to work together for our good. Even when we don't understand, we'll find ourselves at the top of the road looking backwards, and our only declaration can be, God did that, and he did that thing well.
Amen.
So so God established you in your purpose, and I have to absolutely agree, because I also carry a certification in palliative care, and I have done some work in the field, and I've been with quite a few people at the end of their life. And yes, it is sacred, especially having the opportunity to care for them physically, to bathe them, to wash them, and to listen to them have the conversation when they're actually in the in-between. A lot of people don't realize that that's what's happening. They are really in that transitional space. And it's really, truly a sacred time, especially when you know the giver of life very well. You understand what's happening in that moment. We're being called from one glory to yet another, to be revealed as we truly are in the presence of God the Father. So check it out, man. So yeah, I got the scoop, because I saw you had posted that you started Vanderburg Family Funeral Home and Cremation Services. First of all, let me go ahead and congratulate you again publicly for this awesome accomplishment. Because you truly are designed for this, as we just heard. How was that dream birthed in you after all of these years in service?
Yeah, one of the coolest parts of my high school negligence that turned into me living out purpose, identifying purpose and walking it out, were some of the things that happened after. So I mentioned joining the bereavement team. While I was on the bereavement team, now I'm talking about from age 16 to like 20, 21. Like, these are a number of late teen, early 20 years. And I witnessed a number of different funeral homes coming into the space through these funerals. And actually, on the later end, I actually went to work for one who had done a lot of work and serves our church even to this day. And seeing the funeral homes interact with the people, and seeing the presentation, and seeing the care for families, and seeing all of the steps, whether it was the cemetery or the flower arrangements or the way someone was dressed or the person who spoke and gave the greeting at the end, it was super cool. Now, one of the things that I want to mention too is that my family, Vanderburg Family Funeral Home, is not the only family funeral home in the family. I know that's a lot of family, but yeah, my cousin, who is probably like a third cousin, to be honest, was the first Black funeral director who opened a funeral home in Iredell County, which is like Mooresville, North Carolina area. And that funeral home to this day still exists. It's called the W.H. Bryant Funeral Home. Now, Harvey is 88 years old now. And he and my cousin, his wife is the relative, but they started the funeral home together. She also is a funeral director. And so when we would go down to North Carolina and visit during the summers, I like to go down to the funeral home and just see how things were going there because of my interest. So you mix the family and the church and interactions with funeral directors. I was like, man, God, is this something that you would have me to do? And it was a very clear, yes, my son, this is what I'd like you to do. It was destined. And I'll tell you, I actually started mortuary school before I went to school for religion. But God told me, I believe, to do the church first or to do the ministry first, learn that, because I was on a roll in the church. And oddly enough, literally as I'm graduating college, Pastor Gaddy went to be the senior pastor of a church, and the church hired me to be the visitation minister of the church and to continue the work of visiting the sick. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I see why you had me do that. It was probably a few years after that where the Lord said, I never told you not to finish mortuary school. I just said, do this first. It's a delay, but it's not a deny. So I went back to school, and during the pandemic, I started at one mortuary school, and I ended up leaving that one to go to another one where I actually was going to class and not just online. But God said, pick it back up, bro. You got to finish what I have for you. You know, don't just touch on it, finish it. So I did that, went to mortuary school, got the funeral director's license, and God gave me vision for the funeral home a long time ago. I mean, I've been talking, my mother's, it goes back to probably those teenage years, 17, 18. I believed that I was going to serve the Lord in ministry, but also that I was going to open a funeral home. So while the Vanderburg family funeral home has come to fruition and God has allowed it to exist and to be birthed this year, I've been talking about opening a funeral home probably, now I'm 32 years old, probably 10, 15 years I've been. It's a blessing to see God show you and make a way, right? Because we can see, but sometimes we can't see the way. Right. I saw the end result and I saw the vision, and God adds the pro to the vision. So he has sent folks along the way. Now, in between starting up the funeral home, I established a business, a trade service where I work for other funeral homes doing mortuary transport. So that business still exists to this day, and is still operating as well. But by doing that, now I have the vehicle, I have the equipment, I have all of the stuff that I need. It was a heck of a head start for opening a funeral home, which lightened what I would need because I've had this stuff for the last 4 years of operating the other business. So just, yeah. I forget the question, but I get happy when I talk about it.
You answered it. You answered it. And some. One of the things that I think is so very important, because Tilton, I'm sitting over here chuckling. Pastor Jason, when you said 32, is if you a full-fledged senior citizen.
Say so, ma'am.
32. Okay.
Another gray hair pop up right there when he said that. Right there.
I'm closer to 33 than 32. I just have to say that.
Listen. We some queen ages over here now. Stop that.
That means we are older than 32. That's what it means.
That's all you did. We older than, but we some queen ages, so we carry ourselves with grace.
We do. Now, I love how you are sharing your story, and I know, and shout out to those who are in our comment streets. You already know we want to hear from you. We want to engage with you. Go ahead and get those comments and keep them coming. If you've got a question, now is that time. If you put it in the comment streets, we may or may not. 55 plus community. Yes, they letting you know you are far from the senior that we heard in those numbers. But God is keeping you real good. good. And so love how you shared, right, the journey and how your family has impacted that, but also how personal decisions and choices that you made to hear from God, right, to not give up on the thing that he told you, right? Because many of us, I'm gonna say it, many of us will be like, well, we heard the Lord, but around that 5th year,
Yeah.
we'll be like, all right, Lord, I don't think you really meant it.
Come on now, Lord.
I don't know if you really meant it, Lord. We're gonna try. Let's help him out, type situation. But I know that your words are being a blessing to those of us queen-agers and king-agers of more than 32 years. But you share something about your journey and taking a moment to, like, everything makes sense now, right? Were there encouraging words that came to you during that time? I know you said, you're hearing from God. Were there not just the Lord, but how did he speak through other people to kind of keep you encouraged and make you see during lumps and bumps that were going on? Because I know for a lot of our listeners, they are great and they've got greatness in them, but then something happens and it's like, okay, well, we're gonna put that down. He must didn't really mean that, because it wasn't smooth sailing. I don't know who told them that, but we're here to correct them straight. So who or what can you share with our listening audience help to keep you encouraged as you were on your journey?
Yeah. Well, first I'll say sometimes we have to encourage ourselves.
Yay.
And that's Bible. That's Bible. David had to encourage himself. So I just want to say that. But what I will say is, as I believed that this is the direction, as I found myself drawing closer to what I believe God had for me, and I still believe it to this day, I went to find people who were doing what I wanted to do. Find people who were in the business. And there's one train of thought in different career paths. I don't know how it is in all of them, but I know in the funeral service industry, sometimes they say you have to be quiet, don't share too much, which I agree with. But some say don't share at all. I did the opposite. I believe that if God told me this was coming to fruition, no person, place, nor thing could stop it if God has said it. And so I was very bold in sharing with funeral homes who I was working for, funeral directors, and I would say, hey, listen, this is my aspiration. And to be honest, while I braced myself, because there were some who said, oh man, they're going to write you off. They're not going to use your business. They're not going to use the trade service. They'll cut you off. No, folks were so encouraging. And they said, man, listen, any way that we can help, we're going to help. And so we have opened the doors to this funeral home, and we are still serving all of those other funeral homes, some in the same area, still to this day, because rather than try to hide and sneak them with a funeral home, I was honest from up front, because I was speaking, Jason was speaking, but this is God's plan. So there's a boldness that I didn't have any fear to say, hey, listen, here's what I'm going to do. And there was also a courage where, hey, this is what God told me to do. If you decide to cut me off, if you decide not to use me, if you decide to naysay, if you decide, have at it, bro, have at it, sis, because I'm going with God. And so that was so important to me, y'all. That was super important, because when you know it's from God, when without a shadow of a doubt, I was raised as a kid in a really old traditional stuffy type Baptist church. But they used to say, when you know that you know that you know that you know,
Glory.
That means more to me now than it ever did as a kid, hearing it and wondering what it meant. When you know that you know, there's a boldness that you can walk with, knowing that it's not your power. It's not really your boldness at all, but it's the boldness of the one who stands behind you, the Lord who is sending you, the Lord who orders your steps. As a matter of fact, he's the Lord who's gone before me, before I even got there, and goes before you.
Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Ooh,
I love
that,
it. I love it. Listen, Rhonda, you know I was waiting for you. We got some
yes,
regulars.
that right there.
We got some regulars, and they come through with the hitters, with the questions, right? And making sure that we cover all the bases. So shout out to our sister, Rhonda Thomas Booth, and she comes with the question asking, what advice would you give to a young person that may feel like no one, including God, is listening to their pleas and prayers?
Yeah. Well, Miss Rhonda, I thank you so much for asking the question. And I'll just start by saying that I have certainly been in a space where I wondered if God was hearing me, if God was listening to me. Now, there's Bible truth, because I'm going to give you the Bible, but I'm going to give you the practical as well. There is biblical truth. The Lord inclines his ear to us, and he hears us, and he delivers. That is a matter of fact. That is reality, point blank, period. He does hear. But it is very easy sometimes when we're navigating through life, when life's and there's trouble and there's all of the stuff that life does, and we're not seeing a desired result, or we're not seeing a relief from what we're going through, it can be very real, and it can be very easy to question or to wonder if God is listening to our prayers and to our pleas. One, I think the truth of the fact that he does hear us is important to consider. But what I would also say is I would lean into what the Bible says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5:17. The Bible says that we should pray without ceasing. So while this may seem like a really strange response, the advice that I would give to someone who feels like no one, including God, is listening to their pleas and prayer is to keep on praying. Is to keep on praying and to continue on. Not for any other reason than that there is truth that God hears us and that he is listening. So I would say keep praying, know that he listens. But the other thing that I think is important is I like that the question says it includes no one, because God inclines his ear to us and he hears us. But we also have people in our life, people in our midst, people, right? We think often of this up and down, that's us and God, but this right here is you and me. And so if you feel like no one is listening, those are moments to share. Those are moments to be vulnerable and to speak. Whoever the no one is, because the no one has to be somebody, whoever the no one is, those are moments to have conversations of vulnerability. I've learned that in vulnerability, there's safety if you're talking to the right folks. In vulnerability, there's opportunity. Again, if you're dealing with the right folks and being vulnerable with the right folks. Those are moments when you can share not only to God, like, hey, God, I know you're not listening, or God, I don't know if you are listening, because I want to share. God can handle that. And I would tell any young person, old person, or person in the middle, God can handle you saying, hey, God, do you actually hear me? God, do you love me? God, do you care? There is a train of thought that says not to question God, but he's God. He can handle our questions. As a matter of fact, he knows them before we even ask him. And so keep praying. Don't stop. Continue, but also be vulnerable. Speak to folks. Share what's on your heart, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a person, whether it's a trusted individual, and certainly with God. Don't stop. Keep on.
Can I add something to that before we get into the next question I saw posted in the chat? You know, I love that you said exactly what you said, because it's basically something that I have poured into my children all of their lives. Pray without ceasing. It never stops in here. You ain't got to open your mouth to talk to the Lord. And when you're talking to him, give him your details, including the nasty, dirty, stinky ones that you think he's not aware of. He knew what he put in you. He knew your name before you was even formed in your mother's womb. So talk to him. So he's familiar with you. As you said, he's close to you when you're talking to him. And yes, thank you for clarifying that, because I remember growing up being told you ain't supposed to question God. Mm-hmm. Listen, that's why there's a Y and tilted halo to this day, because I would be in my private time with him and I would ask him questions and watch the answers come, like you said, through people, the right people that he placed in my life. We see another question posted on the screen, and this is from our sister girl Soleil, Miss Marisol Colon of Girl Talk Nails. And now she's saying that she's a planner, and she's asking, should we prepay for our funeral services and cremation?
Well, Marisol, let me first say I'm so happy to be your new Facebook friend. We became friends on Facebook like a week ago, so I'm pretty pumped. So you may not even realize it's me, but we are. I recognize Girl Talk Nails. So good to be with you, sis. I will say this. I always encourage folks to prepay and pre-plan. There are some benefits to it. Now, if a person in the funeral business, we have what are called pre-need. That's folks who may plan and pay. And then we have at need, which is if someone passes away in real time. The truth is that there are benefits to prepaying because for people who prepay, there are such things as guarantees in pricing. So as y'all know, with tariff, like right now, there's tariffs on caskets, tariffs on merchandise, there's tariffs on any and everything. Pricing may change, and when you are able to do a guaranteed plan, you pay the bill. It goes into an escrow account that's safe and can only be used for your funeral services, but you really are able to lock in some good pricing. And so that is totally up to you, whether it is for funeral service, whether it's for cremation. You can prepay and or pre-plan because there is a thought that you have to pay. You can make arrangements and do pre-arrangements without paying anything, and your file will be locked in. Now, to pay, of course, is a benefit, to chip away at the total bill. But to answer your question, do whatever your heart desires. But I certainly do encourage pre-plan, prepayment. It actually helps with the family who will be left behind to take care of things also. There is nothing more. I think it's really special when someone has had their own hand on their stuff. What type of music do I want? Where do I want the service? What color casket? What do I want? When your family can honestly say, we are literally honoring what mom wanted, what dad wanted, what they have said, what they have spoken, there's something special about that as well that comes with pre-planning and pre-arrangements.
Listen, I got to jump in and tell y'all, because it's our show, we get to advertise and support whoever we want to. So in your comment sections, you will see information directly from the Vanderburg Family Funeral Home and Cremation Service website, where they have a whole pre-planned form that you can go on there and be able to do some of these things. And, we joke about it in general conversation, but our hope is that y'all are planning for every season of your life and even unto glory, right? Because we don't want to see y'all out here with these cloud flyers and these GoFundMes because we did not take the time to plan. So just like you're planning for your next family vacation or the family reunion or just somewhere to waste money, make sure you are making a sound investment that will benefit your family. And if it's not this service, right? I saw some prices over there, like, okay, never mind. That's a whole nother story. We'll talk. But it's a smart thing for us to do, right? So as Marisol said, like, we don't want to be a burden to our families. And if we can help it, right? We're not only having the plans, and I recalled that when my grandfather passed away, he had done all of the pre-planning. When I tell you that was probably my earliest and first time realizing like that was a real thing. Yes, you want to have your life insurance. Yes, you want to have those things, but he had planned everything. Honey, all we had to pick was a pair of shoes and nobody wasn't going to see them no way, but that's another story. So when you take away that lift at a time where we don't know how grief is going to hit us, right? You lose a loved one, you got people around you praying, you don't know what state of mind your future self will be in. So being able to make the plan today, figure out what the services are. See, this is the reason why we extended our season just for this conversation right here. I need you to know, because you all are that important to us, that we want to get you connected to somebody who cares about you, somebody who cares about your family, and who cares about not just your current well-being, but you dropped a nugget there, Jason, when you mentioned conversation about the tariffs. We're not thinking about that when we're thinking about, what is the final arrangements are going to be. It's almost like, well, we'll get to that when we need to get to it. But here's the deal. We all got coins that are on assignment, as my sister likes to say often. Because our coins are on assignment, we may or may not be able to help your GoFundMe. We love you, right? We want to assist, but we would rather assist with flowers and memorials versus we have to because of lack of planning. And I'm going to say poor planning as well. You all know that we're going to try to give it to you straight, no matter what it is. Having the hard conversation, as Marisol also said, we gotta have them. Why? Because then it's just helpful for your family. You get to help somebody. It's not a pre-grief, right? A lot of people, I don't want to talk about death. Well, honey, it's gonna come.
Yeah, we was all born to die. We was all born to die. I mean, that baffles me when I actually said this to someone yesterday. I'm 53 years old. I'm getting, all my check engine lights checked to make sure that I enjoy the latter part of my living because my life is half over. And I just said it nonchalantly. And she's like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about that. And in my head, I was thinking, poor little Tink Tink. You have no idea what your tomorrow may or may not hold. And accepting that you're not supposed to dwell in this space forever in this form makes it a whole lot easier, especially when you get into the pre-planning for the end of life situations. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, I literally just said something to somebody yesterday. I'm like, no, we getting this checked out because I want to be
right on time
for as long as I can be.
Yeah, and I think life insurance, Sister Karen, you said it. Life insurance is super important, and we think oftentimes about life. There are some people who get life insurance to leave an inheritance, right? And that's the verbiage that is used, and that is a blessing. And heck, I'll be honest, I got some, and I want to do that. But I'll tell you what, there is such a product, an insurance product that is a burial insurance or a final expense insurance, which isn't the 200,000, 300,000. It's not the million. But it's the 10,000, the 15,000, the 25,000 that will ensure that your family can bury you and not be burdened with the cost. And I'll tell you the thing about these smaller denomination policies are you might be able to get one for $35, $50 a month, $40, not astronomical. Again, there is such a product where you want to build a legacy and you can do the higher death benefit, but there are some that are catered directly toward a reasonable amount to make sure that your services are taken care of. And I preach those. Those are the ones where you don't have to go through the health test. They're not going to ask you about your cholesterol and your high blood pressure and your diabetes. These are the ones where you can literally just get a product. The only thing that you need is to be alive because we're going to die. Like that's the stipulation. But I would definitely encourage looking up final expense policies because I'll say this. Now, I have seen GoFundMe come through. God has allowed people to give to some GoFundMes. GoFundMes have helped to send people off, but GoFundMe is not meant to be a form of payment for a funeral. GoFundMe is not life insurance. So God bless those who have given and God bless those who have raised them. And I'm not, I'm in no seat of judgment either way. We do what we have to do. But I'll tell you, if you look into a final expense policy or a burial policy, you'll be blessing the folks who have to take care of your affairs.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
However, I'm on a petty pew today. We listen and we judge.
And here's the thing about insurance: the younger you are, the better.
Yes.
Yes, we talk about that because in my day-to-day, listen, I'm looking at an irrevocable funeral trust on my desk right now to make sure that it's worded properly to protect the applicant's assets. Mm-hmm. And this is another way you can again protect your assets at the end of life in the pre-planning situation, because like you said, Pastor Jason, it's clearly laid out in whatever policy plan you choose to sign on the dotted line for. Thank you so much for this wonderful information. Listen, y'all, I know you've been listening to Pastor Jason on tonight, Minister Jason. I prefer minister because minister is more with the people in my mind. And because that's how I see you hands on. So Minister Jason, is, as you can hear, is extremely insightful and eloquent. So you all have the information. Of course, we're going to be flying it. And you may have noticed that I invited every last one of y'all that I'm connected to go on over there and like and support his page on Facebook. Get connected to this local game changer. You know, I know what I envision for your blessed family business even now, and you just getting started. Can I ask you, how are your children handling this new season in your life?
So, you know, the funeral home's name is Vanderburg Family Funeral Home. Question that I get asked most often is, how many of y'all are really involved in the business? Now, I will tell you, I have an amazing family. They'll connect. Erica, my mother, my brother, you know, sister, anyone will connect. But the reason that the business is called Vanderburg Family Funeral Home is actually the thought that I had initially is because I have two little ones who I hope will be able to join. This is for them, that will leave a legacy that they can connect. You can either work or you can own the place, either one, but it's for you. Now the kids, they are familiar with dad working in the death care industry from years prior with the removals, and we have code words in the house. Like if I go out on a call, that means I'm going to pick up someone who has passed away. The kids have been up to the funeral home. We set up curtains and design the place. Now they have never been there since we opened. And we'll work on, you know, what that looks like, but getting prepared, you know, we've explained to them what it is. And yeah, it's been good. It's been good. As a matter of fact, one day, believe it or not, I was going to collect some information. Few of the funeral homes that I service now, I was going to pick up some checks. That's what I was going to pick up. And I went around to 3 funeral homes in the area, and I had Evan with me. Now I was literally just walking in the door, grabbing paper and leaving. So nothing intrusive or anything like that. And when we got home, he said to Erica, he said, Dad kept taking me to all of these churches today. And I thought that was the funniest thing. And I was like, well, son, you know, I guess kind of like churches, but you know, depending, it could be like that. And yeah, so we've explained it. And yeah, as they get older, it'll be very interesting to see how that extends and expands. So yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, well, this is one scenario where I really don't envision the apple falling too far from the tree. You're truly blessed, young man, Pastor Jason, as is your wife, as is your children, as is your entire family. Shout out to Baron. Shout out to my baby Britt. Can we clap it up for Brittany?
Yes.
We got to give her a hand clap. You know, I gotta go ahead and acknowledge little sis, because she is opening her own business, and I've enjoyed her sharing her journey, whether it's been the highs, whether it's been the lows. I think I saw her post the other day, it's ghetto sometimes, but you know, it's been worth it. And you know, we proud of you too, girl. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I'm super proud of her. Yeah,
hosting the conversation with you on the show as well. Yeah, I'm putting that out there. Y'all keep your eyes on your inbox, because you know we got to take this hiatus so I can
we'll be back before back to school. That's all we're gonna say on that. So we're gonna be
back before back to school, but I need to get to the water. I need to clarify all of these visions, these things that I'm seeing in my head, as it pertains to how to move Unhinged Live forward. You know, Pastor Jason, you said something, and I've just been sitting here listening, and you've poured so much, and you said something that I can absolutely relate to. You heard God say, do this for me first. Mm-hmm. And I remember getting that very same word before I relocated to the Lehigh Valley. People think I just got onto the podcasting, and no, baby. I've been in some rooms that I won't speak of. It's just been a blessing to be able to live my dreams. But there was a season where God pulled me off the runway. He said, I know what your dreams are and I know what your visions are, but I need you to do this for me first.
Yeah.
And then I'll bless you over there. And when I was like, I'm supposed to be famous by now, Lord. Okay. But there was something that I had to learn as you basically solidified. I had to learn what it was to serve people, to lead people and interact with people, encourage people from several different walks of life. I had to go from one career to begin another one to be empowered to give the more that I now see myself pouring now. Yeah, Karen, I do mark the time properly because it's been a good 10 years, at least a good 10 years. And I watched God do exactly what he said he would do in my life. And I've watched God do what he said he was going to do in your life, Pastor Jason. So I just, again, wanted to say thank you for taking the time to chat with us tonight, to share with us a little bit more of who you are. How can our listeners connect with you if they wanted to schedule a consultation or even sit with you and take care of some of their pre-planning needs? How can they connect with you?
Sure. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share this. One of the things that I'm seeing you all are scrolling the website, and I thank you for that. On our website, you'll find every type of form that exists. You'll find the contact number, the phone number, the email for the funeral home. Our website is Vanderburg, VANDERBURGFH.com. On that page, you can find all contact information. But I'm a new business owner, so I'm a cheat a little bit. Listen, you could send me an inbox. You could text me. You could call me, and the answer will be yes. Yes. So however, whatever, put in the comment section, whatever it is. I'm certainly really glad, even if just to answer questions. Just today, I had someone who called. We had a great conversation. I don't know if it will manifest into an opportunity to handle arrangements, but it was certainly an opportunity to share information today. This is one of the beauties of the business. You don't get every call. Everybody's not going to use you, but every interaction, every opportunity you have to share with someone and to help somebody, that's a blessing. And I want my crown to be full, right? When I get to heaven, I want my crown to be full of, hey, you helped this person, you did what you were supposed to do, you answered a question, you didn't think selfishly, but you gave rather than you took. So anyway, website. If you know my number, call me. You can send me a message. I'm looking at everything, and it will be a great opportunity to serve, to answer questions, and to be a blessing. So.
Thank you so much. And I just sat here in Excel because this has been such a refreshing conversation. Most would think you'd see funeral home in the life. No, so much wisdom was shared on tonight's panel. So I want to go ahead and say thank you to everyone I saw and have been seeing popping in the comment section of tonight. Before we get into tonight's reflection of purpose, I want to go ahead and say, hey, again to Marisol, to Rhonda, and I saw Raga pop up in the chat on tonight. We had a great conversation with him a few weeks ago here on the show. Shout out to our sister Leslie Coleman, who's just been on the front lines, rocking with us, watching you grow into Mr. Incredible, Pastor Jason, over the course of time, right alongside us. And again, thank you all so much for all of your support. I saw photographer extraordinaire pop in, Keith Drayton, Deacon Leon Chander, Minister Leon Chander popped in the room for a second there. We see you all, we hear it all, and we again are so grateful for your support. So y'all already heard me say I'm greedy.
Lord D.
Y'all already heard me say I'm greedy, and yes, the bag is open. But right now, I'm not hungry for them ridges with the sweet heat barbecue flavor on them. Right now, I'm hungry for a word that I have the privilege of receiving weekly. So get ready, get ready for what's really going on with this week's reflection of purpose from our very own in-house master life coach, Coach Cash herself. Twisted Threads LLC with this week's reflection of purpose. Take it away, friend.
Love it, love it, love it. Listen, y'all know I always come with the title, and tonight's title is Expect the Great. And that sound real easy, right? It sound like, okay, I'm just expecting for God to open up the heavens and everything to pour on. But here's what expectation actually looks like. Preparation, right? Because even if the blessings come and you're not ready for them, then what do you do with the additional? But if you make the time, right? Take the time to make the time to plan out what we are expecting for God to do, right? Many of us may have been taught in different home churches. Maybe you think that God is not in the details. God cares even the colors of the flowers that I put in my hair day by day. And so he cares the same for you. But sometimes it is our expectation that gets in the way of that next blessing that I promise we've been in the corner biting our fingers, waiting for it to happen. And God is saying, if we put ourselves in the right posture of gratitude, I promise you, the next that y'all gonna hear about is from a season of gratitude that I was able to say. So I'm not just telling you something that I've heard about. I'm telling you something that I've been able to walk out. Make sure you are putting faith actions as part of your daily thing. Sometimes that's more than just prayer and meditation. And I say just because we do those in our quiet time. Maybe we do them in our personal devotion, but we got to make sure that we remember we're the hands and feet of Christ. That means that if we see those in need, you know, the best way for you to get a blessing, be one, get one, be a blessing to others. And while your hands are open, you'll find more even coming back to you. Next, I want to remind you, have a posture of gratitude as well. Make sure that you ain't having that stank attitude getting away. I said stank. That's the professional term for it. Keep that stank attitude out of the way, because you will find that it's built a wall between you and the people who want to come alongside you, who want to join in. We heard Pastor Jason tell us earlier that his time of just request turned into a blueprint for leading him to where he is today. Well, some of us, somebody may not want to give us a call back because we're being just a little bit too salty. Add some sugar on that, get you some lemonade, make you some lemonade, but don't always think that you're able to be sour and expect for the blessing to flow your way. And you, in these moments, I want to remind you, you can't blame anybody but you, because we know what the blueprint is. As I remind you all the time, we are the actual blueprints. People are looking for a way, and we got the answer the whole time, but we being gatekeepers in the areas that God has blessed us with. Y'all know one thing about Coach Cash. I'm a run tell that. And in this season, the next thing you're going to hear is me run telling about the goodness of God and the greatness that not only has he allowed me to see, but he's also placed it in me to be. Many of you will disqualify yourself. We heard from the Vanderburg household. Listen, whatever room God put you in, you were supposed to be there. Now remember, act like they call for you when you walk in there. Because you know, when your parents call for you, you're going to show up. But you're not going to show up scaredy cat. Ma, you called me. What you want? I mean, you're going to do it better than that because you don't want your head knocked off. But you're going to make sure that what it is you went in there for, you're not leaving without it. It is your birthright, not only to expect the great, but to expect to receive the great. So listen, wash your pots, get your bowls together, because this next overflow that's coming is going to be more than just for your house. We see the things going on around the world, and here's how we prepare. Expecting the greatness not only to come to us, but to flow through us. Listen, as always, I remind y'all, keep going forward. Why? Because I can't get to the cake until we get to the end. So complete it, because as I tell you, I'm here for the cake, but we can't get there until you complete your assignment. Expect the great, y'all. Tilt it back at you.
Yes, and I'm expecting great things every single day. The Lord allows me to open my eyes. I'm in my Donald Lawrence now. Expect the great every single day of my life. Thank you for that word, Karen. And I promise you, you said something out your mouth just now that tapped into my little just be moment. That's that frequency we tend to coexist on, no matter what distance is between the two of us. And tonight, you know, I gotta leave a space for my guest to get that outro on tonight, but I'm gonna offer my just be moment. And tonight I gotta just ask you to just be mindful of the words that you allow to come out of your mouth. You know, I've just come out of a season where I've just had conversations with several different people, and you know, I'm able to identify them by the fruit of their lips, the things that they allow to come out of their mouth. And a lot of them, whether they know it or not, they ain't been paying attention to your girl. They don't understand that I hear between the lines and I hear what you're not necessarily saying. And what's most instantaneously revealed to me by the words that are coming out of some people's mouth is the fact that they don't pray. I know you don't pray because, again, the book of James tells me that, you know, this tongue, the smallest muscle, but the most powerful thing, it has the power to manifest life and death in each and every one of our lives. So I got to ask you to consider, what are you allowing to come out of your mouth? What banner are you waving as you face the day? See, when you speak brokenness, you live brokenness. When you speak lack, you live lack. And when you begin to change the words that come out of your mouth, I promise you, you keep speaking them consistently and boldly enough, everything around you is going to change. So how about I offer you this? As opposed to always going out facing the world with a lamentation at every single moment, how about you turn it into a list of different declarations? Now, I know that we hear that we have the word affirmations and the declarations that we speak over ourselves, but baby, I'm going to tell you this. I have my mirror moments, and what you're witnessing here boldly sitting before you on tonight is the manifestation of the many, many, many words that I have spoken over myself, where I've had to remind myself in the dark seasons that I am above and not beneath, that I am the lender and not the borrower. I am the head and not the tail. I belong here. That's right. I am everything that God says that I am. Now, he says that I'm a princess, so that means I have manifested into a whole queen at this point into my life. Let me tell you, I walk it like I talk it, y'all. I believe everything that God has said about me. And the evidence is that abundance that surrounds me. Because when the math don't be mathing, let me tell you, my God stay Godden. And that's my story. And I'm going to stick to it. It's going to be my testimony forever. So I can only encourage you what I've encouraged myself on several occasions to do. I got to encourage you to watch the words that you allow to come out of your mouth. For your single mothers in the situations walking these streets, you are not alone. You are not single if you are bowing your knee before the omniscient one, the one who has the ability to give you all knowledge and things pertaining to life and godliness. He shows you the way. I remember the season in my life when I would go and literally speak into existence what I didn't see into my hand. I would speak into my refrigerator and tell my refrigerator that it was full. And then I would walk over to the pantry, you know, in my single mother season, walk over to the pantry and be reminded of what God did for the widow. When she gave her little, he took it and he made it much. So here, fast forward. We walking it like we talk it.
Ew.
And we are living the words that we allow to come out of our mouth. So coming out of the watch your mouth season, because I went through a whole, you know, Bible study and prayer season where God was saying, watch your mouth. I got to share that wisdom with you all. you can still have fun this summer. You know why? Because it don't take $500. You don't necessarily need to hop a flight to have a good day of fun with your family. Take that little $20, gas up your tank. You got the internet bill already paid. Google Relations work. You can find all of the free things to do. And your children will never know you were in the midst of crying out to God to be exactly who he needed to be. You needed him to be in the moment, the provider. Watch the words that are coming out of your mouth. And if you do nothing less than when you open your eyes, the first thing outside of saying, thank you, God, for allowing me another day. Thank you, God, that I have everything that I need.
Yes.
Just be mindful of the words that are coming out of your mouth. It's your girl, Tilted Halo. And I'm sitting here alongside my good girlfriend, Karen Sims Harrell, Coach Cash of Reds LLC. And we have been absolutely blessed by the conversation we were able to have with you tonight, Minister Jason. I got to yield the floor to our guests because you got the season closing word. Put something on the people, brother.
Well, after all that we have heard and seen,
Yes.
after all that has been said, I have not a lot of words, but what is ringing in my spirit is the fact that God is able. And whether we need him to help us to tame our tongue, whether we need him to help us to fulfill purpose, whether we need him to help us to walk more in what he has for us, it is important for you and me and everybody to know that God is still able. And if there's anything that I can leave you with, if you're watching, if you're listening, if you're connecting, if you see this on the rebroadcast, you may even want to say to yourself that God is still able, because we need reminders sometimes. He never stopped being good. He never stopped being able, but we are what we are. And we need a reminder every now and again. So I want to encourage us all, lean in, know that the Lord is good, that his truth endureth to all generations, and know that you are able because God is still able. That's it.
Thank you so much for those words. And Coach Cash,
Yes.
looking at my non-Gucci, it's about that time.
It's about
that. Girl, it's the end of the season. You know, this is what we love to do. But, you know, my schedule is booking up even as we speak on this live. So we bid you adieu, but stick around. You know, we're going to have some awesome replays and some shorts and some other things that we got in the works for you while we take our sabbatical month to replenish and sit by that good blue water. It's Unhinged Live. Girl, we are almost at 200 episodes. Look at God. I'm sorry, we about to act up, Pastor Jason. Let me let y'all go because some of this y'all don't even need to see live. It's about to be a whole shenanigan session.
He's still able. That was the word. He's still able.
That's it.
He's still doing
God's
it.
still
Still
able.
doing it.
Y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay well. I'm sure I'm gonna see y'all because I'm outside.
Outside.